Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name's Tholen, and we're back at it again with some more Factorio today. We had a pretty nice long stream on Friday, and we got a lot of things done. We got our first nuclear reactor city block placed down, so it's pretty much solved most of our power issues, at least for the time being. And I spent a bit of time over the weekend just reviewing a lot of the blueprints. I've been trying to post them on my Google Drive. I didn't get all of them done. This is such a long stream on Friday, going through all the blueprints that I probably played with on Friday was a little bit much to go through the entire 11-hour stream. So um, I'll probably just end up posting all of my blueprints up in my Google Drive for everyone to peruse. That might be a little bit better going forward since I don't know. Maybe we'll see. It's especially trying to do this on a daily basis. I'm going to try and get also some Kerbal Space Program in. We'll have to pick a day, at least one day a week, where I think Kerbal Space Program is going to be the game, the playthrough that we're going to play, because that's something also on our list of things to do. Oh gosh, I hope everyone had a really good weekend. And today I was thinking of going through those nuclear blueprints and actually expanding upon them. I had some thoughts about how, because we're actually got a lot of dead space in our current, excuse me, nuclear reactor blueprint. We're not using up all the space, so I think we get a lot more out of a single city block. And space conservation is going to be a thing that we're going to have to be a little bit worried about as we get to some of those mega base designs, which we're also going to get to today. We should get some larger smelting designs hopefully on the go. And let's also get some more of these wonderful nuclear reactors on the go. And we got to do more with the trains, transporting more of our material with trains. So I hope everyone's excited for that. We got a lot of things to get going here, so we might as well switch to our screen mode, load up the game, and let's get started here. So this is where we left off. We got our Spidertron too, which is a lot of fun. And there's a beautiful blue Spidertron. Let's see if we can pick up where we left off here. Oh, we should probably also get more landfill before we dive into some of the blueprints design. So the other thing I was thinking of doing, let's go over here and let's just maximize our current smelting scenario here. I've I did spend a lot of time on the stream on Friday designing this, and of course, as this particular patch gets smaller and smaller, we're not getting a whole lot out of it anymore. And that's kind of not really great for our overall throughput here into our smelter. And I think this is going just about as fast as it can go currently. What we can do though, so we don't waste this material, is we could probably set up a train to pick up material here instead. And then we could send it to kind of our mega base smelting area. Hey, good morning, NG. I am doing very well. Good to see you. Thank you for dropping in this morning. Appreciate you stopping by. We got a lot of things on the go for today, a lot of big plans, hopefully. I'm going to be going into some nuclear power plant design. So if you guys remember, we plopped this design down on Friday. And it's a pretty good design. This one's fairly well battle tested, but you notice there's a fair bit of dead space, and I think we can get more out of a single city block. I've got all my water on one side, and we're leaving a lot of piping space to get all the water throughput into the heat exchangers. I think there's a better way to do this. I'll need to think about. Actually, I have put a lot of thought into it, so I wouldn't mind going over that. And it might be a good opportunity to do like a deep dive kind of thinking process into the a blueprint design. So that might be fun. We could drop into that today. And then probably we're going to have to expand our base, and we're going to start plopping down some of the more mega base train delivery system designs as well. And maybe we'll just take our time and go through them in a little more detail. I think that might be a little more fun as well. So we should probably also get more. Yeah, we need a little more everything. It's always more everything. Always more everything. All right, so let's actually tap into this train completely. Oh, I think we also have nuclear fuel, so let's grab that. This is going to make our trains super speedy. We don't need much. I only put like 2 in here. These things like last forever. As we'll transition over. Yeah, anytime we now bump into our train stations, we'll have to remember to do this. I know all my kind of larger designs have this by default, so there we go. Oh, we're still getting some rockets in from our military. 9 in storage. Here comes 1. Yeah, those nuclear fuel cells last a long time. Bah. Excellent. Okay, the bots will automatically take these out of my storage and go put them away. Out of my inventory, go put them in storage, I guess, I mean. Alright, let's just tear this down. We'll redesign something. Kinda a way to have a little pickup station here as well. And eventually, I don't know what I want to do here. I think what maybe as an almost a blueprint exercise, I don't normally tear this down. I guess we could make we've got to make another station here maybe, just to pick this stuff up. Anyway, we'll play with this. Don't have to make all the decisions at once. Alright, so let's kind of undo what we did last time. Bit of a learning experience. I had to do those all. I generally don't like some of this spaghetti stuff too much, so it's maybe part of the reason why. Kind of want to fix this up here. I'm not a fan of the spaghetti. How's your weekend there, Angie? I went to the gym twice over this weekend. It was kind of nuts. My body's actually a little sore. Ah, yes, the spider. We have the Spidertron. How's it going there, buddy? Well, good to see you. Good to see you, Bakongo. This has to go just like so. Yeah, you gotta love the spider. Alright, we'll just get out of our machine here. Nice relaxing weekend. Oh, good, good. I think it was Overtron. Was it Overtron? I think it was Overtron saying he was gonna have a whiskey on Friday nights. Alright, here we go. We're gonna make these blue belts. Eventually we're gonna want these to be blue. Actually, by the time we get up to blue belts, we may actually be on a different system anyway, but... Okay, there we go. we could probably even start, you know, making sure our hub is always working, and we'll just start building some more blue belts when we have the resources. So, could probably increase our storage of that. I think we pretty much upgraded everywhere to red, so now I'll be upgrading to blue. Like, I don't know what happened here, where just this one box was starting to get filled up here. That is strange. But I must have done something in that. That's the other thing that bugged me. Like, these should be perfectly balanced, and these should always unload at the exact same rate. But I think when I was just messing around on Friday, I goofed something up here, so hopefully this should kind of balance itself out. Oh, it belts so fast I could barely run on it. All right, we'll then maybe we'll put a little train system in here, but it's gonna have to be a few little redesigns here. There comes some more of those blue belts. All right, let's go back. Because you could change the color here. So if you go to your inventory, you've got this character, and then you've got this color thing. So I could make mine green if I wanted to. Now he's green. Oh, he's not green. How come he's not green? Oh, because your Spidertron has the, you could do it for your Spidertron too. There we go. Now my Spidertron's green. I got a green dude. Yeah, sometimes it's nice to change the color just so you can see it a little better. Yeah. What we're gonna do over here, we're just gonna upgrade these numbers now. Okay, these guys are building. I want these guys to build like all the time. So instead of just having 200 in here, let's crank this up to 1,000. And how many are we storing for the red? We're already storing about over 1,000. No, it's 1,000. It's 1,000. All right, now we should have a better income. Look at that beautiful smelting array going on here. There we go. These are now fully active. Every single one of these smelters is going. Woo! Okay, good. Let's do the same thing with our copper, although I don't know if we have much of a draw on copper. Same deal here. Let's get these also upgraded to blue again. Blue circuits for the win. Or blue belts, I should say. Sometimes I try to be a little too perfect, I guess. Are you still playing along there, Bakongo? You got your game going? How far are you along in your game? All right, okay, we don't need this anymore. That. Let's just get rid of this. I'm gonna have to get a belt immunity thing. kind of getting a little ridiculous here. What do I need for belt immunity? It's like one little tiny thing, if I recall. And I can even build it, but build it already. Our research is still going. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. There we go. Well, these belts won't affect us. Kind of get natural belt immunity in the Spidertron. Don't need that. Okay, then we can just start connecting the dots. We need to do this. So apparently, Satisfactory 1.0 is releasing tomorrow. That's a pretty popular game. I also did, for any of you that have been following along with my blueprints online, I did some changes, excuse me, to my train stop limiters a little bit. They're hopefully a little more simplified. So we could probably, as we get deeper and deeper into this playthrough, I think some of those things will come to the surface about how these things actually work. Planet Crafter is a good game. Yeah, I played that to death, I think. Played that one a lot. So this one doesn't even have any. It's got no train stop limiting. It's just always five. It'll always accept 5 trains. So, and that's fine for these early stages of the game. But eventually, we're gonna want to change this to be a little bit more sophisticated. All right. It's certainly not Satisfactory or Satisfactorio. They're very different games. Yeah, they're not the same game at all. You got to be kind of in a different mood for playing something like Planet Crafter. It's more of it's more a bit of a survival game as well. Like you got to be able to learn how to survive the first few hours, and then once you get that part, it's just about maximizing the numbers, which is fun in and of itself. All right. Think we could do something similar here as well. We might be able to just put a nice simple. Actually, why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? We could put a little simple station. an inline station like this. These work fine for the time being. I think we have just enough room for this. And that should be pretty quick with our existing blueprint design. All right, so if you guys recall, we've got our trains. We got our train stations. We've got a single city block. That's what we want. We're going to do a pass-through design. I'm going to try and upgrade these descriptions as well. So we got the basic template. We also have these pass-through designs here. So we have one that goes for delivery and one for pickup. So we're going to drop this one down over here. We'll just force drop here. So I think most of you guys who've been following are pretty familiar with some of these concepts now that I've been working with. But if you have any questions still, feel free to ask and I'll dive into more detail on these. So this will be a pickup station for this copper, even though it's kind of right next to each other almost. We'll still use a train to pick up this material. That just allows us to get, I think, maximal throughput, so we don't have to worry about trying to merge belts together and some weird stuff that we've been doing. Get rid of some of the weirdness. Okay, now if we're going to want to put this on, excuse me, onto an 8 car train, we got to put these, we got to balance all these belts, pretty much divide them into 8. So we'll go to our blueprints for that as well. We got some nice blueprints for that. So let's make a little more room here. And we have our belts, and we have our balancers. The one I use quite often is this one here. This is a both a belt and a lane balancer. We can plop it like right along here, easy enough. Doesn't really matter what we plop these into. We don't need this. Let's just go like this. Do a bit of a redesign here. Okay. Like so. Well, anyway, Satisfactory is apparently releasing tomorrow, so I have put some. I haven't played it. I've got like 2 hours or something into that game. I kind of want to play it. It looks pretty cool, but I kind of want to also play other things. I do want to continue on this one. I've got so much more experience with Factorio here. Okay, let's get power sorted. And actually, why don't we place one of our train stop limiters, and that'll give me a bit of an opportunity to talk about it a little bit. Oh, whoops, this is a problem. So, for those that want to have more fine-tuned control over your trains, so this is just a basic train. You manually control the train limit. So right now the default is 5. You can have 5 incoming trains at this station. And as we said, it doesn't really matter too much when you only have one train transporting copper, but eventually we're going to have a lot more. So let's start looking into that. We go to our train. This is going to be a pickup limiter, material pickups, and we have this folder called, or a book called, pickup material train stop limiters. And right now I only have one. I used to have about 3 in here, and that pretty much tracked the evolution of how I designed these limiters. But this is actually really simple. So I went over it on the weekend. I understand them in a little more detail of how they work. So let's quickly go over that. They're actually quite simple when we break it down. There's right now only 2 in here. So this 50 is the number of material that can fit into a single slot. So if you look here, that's 50 for copper. Right? So that's a simple number. So that's already defaulted, so we don't have to change that. If we were doing some other material, like the smelted material, like smelted copper, for example, is 100. So you'd have to change that number to 100 for smelted copper. But we actually have to change this to copper ore, and that's it. So now you'll see here that this is saying the limit for the train is 0 because there's not enough in these boxes for the train to pick up. So there's no use wasting the train's time by coming here. So the logic is fairly straightforward. We divide by 50, and this S represents the number of slots currently that the copper is taking up in all these boxes. And this number here, this 320, that's the number of slots that a single car, or sorry, a train has available on it. So if you want to take a quick look at that, let's go to, we need to drop, hopefully, I hate running over tracks when I don't have my Spidertron. So it's actually a pretty simple calculation, really. So if you look at this, there is 40 slots available on a train, okay? And since we have 8 trains, you go 8 times 40. 8 times 40 is 320. So a train has available on it 320 slots. So I generally always convert my, that's why you see that conversion. I convert to slots. How many slots are available, not necessarily how much material I could fit on a train, because that's variable depending on the material being transported. But the number of slots on a train is constant at 320 all the time. So if we talk in the language of slots, I'm calling them slots, I'm not sure if that's the best term in the world, but that's what I've been using, then it makes our train designs a little simpler in terms of making these train stop limiters. Then we just take this number, we put it into L, which means for the limit for the train, and we just put a connecting wire into the actual train stop. What do you call these things? Yeah, it's a train stop. And you gotta say set train limit, and it's going to monitor the input L. So then now this is automated. I can't control this number manually anymore unless I turn that off. So now we have one train that's currently getting. Actually, we got to change this. We got to change the name to copper pickup. There we go. Otherwise, the train won't know where to go. So now we should be able to see here on our trains. That didn't change the name. I messed up there. Pickup. Pickup. There we go. So this train is currently sitting here, but now he has two places in order to pick up copper. What did you say there? Yeah, you don't understand how people can do speed runs? I can kind of understand it. I don't. I don't gravitate to it too much. I look at speed runs from the perspective of an engineer. An engineer doesn't necessarily care about speed, but an engineer does care about efficiency. So when you reduce travel time, when you reduce the number of materials involved to build something, when you reduce, say, the number of trains needed to transport things from place to place, once you kind of put all those things together, that does result in reduced time to do something, but usually not to the extent that you would for a speed run. Like a speed runner would have tons of other inefficiencies in it, in the base. It would look ugly as sin. You would have spaghetti everywhere. The final base, it's not something you'd want to play for 100 hours. You know, if you beat the game in 4 hours or something, whatever it is, you're done with that game and you move on to something else. You trash that save. And that aspect of speed running doesn't attract me terribly much. So this is actually fairly slow going here. I just want to make sure it all works. So we have number of slots available is 274, now 275. Once that hits 320, one of these lights will turn on, and we should have a full train's worth of material waiting to be picked up. So now this should hopefully unload itself forever. I watch speedrunners a little bit, but I just do it. Oh, of course we have another problem. The track's not connected. This is not going to work now, is it? That's a bit of a engineering problem. Should we start putting... I don't know if I want to put these solar blocks everywhere, because we are going to want to... We're going to have to put T-junctions here. I need to make one of these with a T-junction in mind. So anyway, I'm not going to worry about that. All right, come here. Where do I think I have... we could make... a Spidertron remote control. There it is. So you can say, Spidertron, come to me. I don't have to go to you. You need to come to me. All right, now we're safe again. All right, so we don't need these belts any longer. All right, so there. That's going to hopefully guarantee that now this has maximum smelting capacity. Gosh, we're not even using everything. Yeah, we're researching. Wow, we're doing well. Research is going at 100%. Okay, let's dive into a couple other things. Let's make another one of these. Here, let's spruce this one up a little bit. We can make this go a wee bit faster. I gotta fix this up too. I don't really want to necessarily go completely off. Belts, the red belts yet, but let's grab some blue belts here on our bar. It's not very organized. I'll spend some time to organize this. Maybe I should do that now, eh? Let's do belts. Have a little bit of red. We'll have a little bit of this. We'll have a little bit of red. We'll have a little bit of this. Could have designed this a wee bit better. Wasn't really thinking. Let's just upgrade this belt. Might be better just to upgrade these belts. That'll, of course, give us more throughput. There we go. Let's go to our upgrader. We'll go to blue belts all along here. All right. Come on, bots, you can do it. To blue. All right, cool. Where else? Let's grab a little bit more landfill. We're gonna need a lot of it. I'm certainly a fan. I think some people like playing without modifying the train. I'm like, fuck it. Fuck it, man. We're gonna freaking, if we could modify the terrain to our purposes, then that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. So it'll take a little while to fill it in, so we're gonna want a lot of stone. So my playthroughs generally go through a ton of stone. Do we have any more stone nearby? And I don't think we do. I'll keep an eye out for that. Oh, nice copper one. Ooh, there's a nice stone right there. We'll have to move into there in a bit. You tried watching Factorio speed runners in the past and couldn't get into it. I'm just not into competitive anything. I just like enjoying a game without extra unneeded pressure. That's an interesting way to look at it, NG. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you, but I do like giving. I like. Let's see if I could word this properly. I agree that we shouldn't have unneeded pressure, but that's a bit of a loaded term. I do like setting myself a goal, for example. Like in a particular playthrough, I want to get to a mega base, and that's going to cause me to make certain decisions. I want to maybe give myself a direction to go to, and all that kind of stuff. And that's not that's a little bit of pressure, but it's hopefully the right kind of pressure to push me along in a direction and make it interesting and make it fun, and it helps me learn that as well. So I agree that you don't want unneeded pressure, but a little bit of an incentive to do something I think is also healthy. Good morning, Overtron. I think I had a good weekend. I went to the gym twice this weekend, so my body's a little sore. I went climbing. I've been thinking, I wonder if I had a camera and I went to the gym, the climbing gym. You could see my kids are insane climbers now. Holy crap. Man, if I was like 19 years old again, if I could climb like my kids do, man. Anyway, I'm doing pretty good at 52. I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. Ooh, look. We're going to get into white science. I like it. I like it. So yeah, it's funny. The first time you play Factorio and you get to the end game, it probably takes a long time, but I'll probably do this in under 50 hours. Yeah, time's gone, no kidding. Fortunately, time travels in one direction for us. So yeah, I don't have any more stone, which well, we did have this one here, but we've been utilizing this stone pretty much for our build, so I don't want to take this away. Because as soon as this runs out, we can't really do anything, which it looks like it might be running out kind of soon. Which is interesting. I may want to have a different approach here. Here, we have a bit of stone here. We could push these walls out, and we could certainly grab this stone. I had been lifting for a couple of years. Work has been nuts, and I just went back to the gym on Friday after 3 months. You know, walk like a penguin. And stairs, forget them. Well, good job. Good for you, man. Hey, that deserves a cheer. Everyone cheer, Overtron. Hey, man, even though you're sore, you know that it's going to alleviate over time. So keep it up, and your body will feel better, and it'll be good. Persistence. I know I don't live by that rule myself. It's hard. But a little bit of exercise, it helps the body sleep even a little bit. And sleep is good. That's my biggest issue, is making sure I get a good sleep every night. If I find I get up in the morning refreshed, then I can go to the gym, I can have a good stream, I can get things done around the house, I can, you know, be an attentive husband and father to my family. Sleep to me, that's the biggest thing. That's huge. Okay. All right, guys, let's talk about blueprints, and we're gonna dive into some blueprint designs. Then we'll maybe push this wall back. I want to talk about nuclear reactors, and then we'll go into and this is kind of all part of moving to a mega base, and part of the philosophy of moving to a mega base, you do have to be fairly conscious of space. Which is a bit of a misnomer for me, because city blocks are not really the great thing for space. So if you really want to go deep into a mega base where you go to like thousands of science per minute, like many thousands, like 50,000, I don't know some of the crazy numbers you can get. Probably a city block design isn't going to be the best choice, because it's fairly spacious, which, I mean, I like that from the perspective of it's very plug and play. So as an engineer, I kind of prefer that more. I'll give up a little bit of my, possible final science per minute for my mega base, just for that extra flexibility. With that in mind, though, if you look at our original one that we made here on Friday, well, this is just from the blueprint that I made years ago. I didn't talk about it in too much detail. It's got a lot of dead space here within the city block. So we can actually get a lot more power out of this if we try to utilize all this space as best we can. And I wanted to test and see how much we can actually get out of a single city block. So, hey Albion, nice to meet you. So my goal, the last time I played for a large mega base, I got up to 45 science per second, which is 2,700 science per minute. I want to beat that. So maybe I could double that. Maybe we can get to 70 or 90. Hopefully I can double that at the very least and go to 90 science per second. So we'll see. But that's going to be the ultimate goal. And we're going to have to expand quite a bit in order to reach that goal. So we've got a long ways to go. Do you think most of the content in Factorial will come after the first rocket launch? It kind of doesn't make sense that you'd go to other planets. Yeah, I think you're right, NG. It probably will. I think there's going to be a lot of quality of life things that will benefit as we go towards rocket launch, another planet. Hey, thanks for the follow, Albion. Really appreciate it. Welcome to Great Life Gaming. I hope you enjoy your stay. So yeah, like if I read a little bit some of their Friday blog posts that they do, and one thing that I found really interesting was they looked at all the popular mods that a lot of the players like, and they actually scoured them, and they said, okay, which one of these would be applicable or benefit, if we could bring into the vanilla gameplay. And one of them, by the way, is going to be this, the one that I use quite a bit, this landfill one, where you can actually, in the vanilla game, you can't do this. You can't remove landfill, and that always bothered me. And so now they're bringing that into the base game, so I won't need a mod to do what I just did. it'll be more official. And it should work. There's a few bugs with it too. The mod doesn't work perfectly in some situations. You got to be a little careful with it. Um, so yeah, we'll be able to benefit from those things before we get off planet, and I'm sure there'll be a number of those things like that. Yeah, this is good old Spider Overtron right here. That's right. He's our powerful dude. This guy is. These guys are insane. I've never. I don't know if you guys played a whole lot with nukes in the game. Now, I watched a guy who was playing with nukes, and they seemed to work pretty well. I remember they were like overkill. Like the radius for a nuke was so big that they often killed you because you had to fire them so close. But but the one thing they are also reducing, I read in the patch notes for 2.0, is they're reducing the point defense laser damage by 60%. Pretty significant number. But they're not reducing. I didn't see anywhere that they're reducing the actual turret damage, so that's good. So hopefully these border walls will still be viable. But doing what I want to do here and just like walk up and just, you know, just annihilate these things with lasers, which is fun as hell. I have to admit, just walking to a base like this and saying, "Excuse me, bugs, but I don't like you. I'm just gonna walk through your base." Of course, these are still pretty easy ones. Now that we have our Spidertron, we can walk through just about anything. And of course, we got our missiles. Missiles are powerful. Fun stuff. All right, we're getting a little distracted here. Yes, this is the power of Spider Overtron, everybody. Let's get to work. So we're going to use another mod here called the Sandbox mode. It's a mod that I actually have come to really like. Oh, hello, guys. Excuse me. Look at this pile of biters. They can't even get close to our wall before they die. All right, we'll let them deliver. So let's just jump into here. And we're going to just start playing around with a new nuclear power plant design. And let's see how much we can get out of a single city block. We can get rid of this. This was the other design we started making. It's actually quite successful. We've been using it. This is a train track mixed with solar grids. Let's just get rid of that so we just have a nice clean slate. So let's just drop an outline city block here. We'll do this one here, a combined one that has both roboports. This is the typical one we use in all games. It would be nice to have making a water fill. However, makes things a little too easy. Yeah, being able to create water. You know what might be nice, Albion? If you could make like a trench. Like the game, I don't think has water. Like the lakes don't flow between each other or anything. But that would be a very complicated probably thing to add to the game. But if you had two lakes and you dug a hole between them and the water could then flow between them, that might be cool. But you probably just don't want to be able to create water out of the thin air. That would be a little weird. And if you did have like a trench, but then you have to have a way to flow water, and I don't know, like Minecraft does a weird way of doing it. It doesn't really do it perfectly, but I'm sure it's not easy. Okay, this is the basic size of our city blocks. So we want to be able to contain whatever we're going to build within this square. And let's take the old design, and I did work on this on the weekend, so I do kind of know for the most part what we're going to need to do, because it takes a long time. I don't know if I want to spend all that time on stream going through every little detail, so I like doing a little bit of work off stream. So let's look at our side. Here's the 12. We're going to go up to 12 reactors instead of 8. I believe when I just look at this intuitively, I'm going, we probably can't double this. I don't think we have the space to double this, but we can probably go to 12 reactors. So that's what we're going to try and do. So we're going to have to understand a few things to do this. So I want to find the center. So if we go across, so we're in a sandbox mode now, and it's so the game, my core game isn't running. Let's get rid of this. So this is what I try to find. I try to keep things symmetrical. So that's pretty much centered. All right, that looks like that's centered. Just make sure. Okay, yeah, that looks right. All right, so we're going to want to have, say, 12 in the center. We'll just start shaving off from the ends. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably easy way to do this. There, I think that's centered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That looks centered to you guys? That looks pretty centered to me. I want to be centered on that. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of the first thing I tend to do, at least for these nuclear power plants. So if we're going to go with 12, how much power is that going to give us? So it's a little bit misleading to go right to like a factory planner to calculate the output for your nuclear power plants because of the adjacency bonuses that you get. So let's just talk about what those are. So by default, your nuclear power plant will only give, I shouldn't say only, it's still a significant amount, but one nuclear power plant gives 40 megawatts of power. However, if it's adjacent to another plant, it doubles each time for each, so there's an adjacency bonus. So this guy here has a nuclear power plant on two sides of him. So that's a 200% bonus. So he'll go up from a 100% bonus is doubled. So you go from 40 to 80. Then you do that again. You go up to 120. So this guy on his own gives 120 megawatts of power. So these two guys on the ends give 120 megawatts of power. These guys in the middle, they have a nuclear power plant on all three sides. Oh, is time actually running when I'm doing this? I suppose it is. That means we get 300%. So that goes from 120 to 160. So one nuclear power plant gives off 160 megawatts of power if it's the one in the middle. Any of those 6 in the middle, or 8 in the middle. So those are the numbers we're dealing with. So let's see, what's the total output of this in terms of power? So if these give off 160, and we have 6 of them, 960 megawatts of power. The ones on the end give off 120, and that's 4 of them. So that's 480. 480 plus our 960 gives us, is that right? No. $1,400? Oh no, I calculated this wrong. It's 8, not 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me try that again. It's 8 times 160. Yeah, I figured it should be more than that. There we go. So it's 1,280. And then it's 4 times 120. There we go. And so it's then 480 plus 12. Oh, sorry. 480 plus 1280. 1760. Okay, so a nuclear power plant with the plants kind of in this configuration should give us a total power of 1 gigawatt, 760 megawatts, so 1.76 gigawatts. So that's going to be an important number. We need to remember this because that's going to feed into how many buildings we're going to need. Okay, so if we look at let's just plop down, let's keep our calculator up here. We're going to need it again. Let's grab, we don't need any of those. We are going to need, though, the turbines. Where are they? These guys. So a single turbine, if you look at this guy, he has a maximum power output of 5.8 megawatts. Well, what do you mean, Bakongo? Yes, this Blueprint Sandbox is a mod. So once you have this installed, if you hit Shift B, you can pop into this separate little world where you can just do testing. Oh, the calculator? Yeah, that's a mod as well. That's just a very simple calculator. I think that's a mod. Yeah. So if I Alt X this, you see I don't get that number. I get a much smaller number because these things aren't activated and they're not getting an adjacency bonus yet. So that's why you got to be a little careful about using some of the tools. You have to do some manual calculations. Oh, I appreciate that, Bakongo. Well, that's what we're here for. I love the whole learning process of the game, so I'm glad you're getting something out of it that makes me feel good. It encourages me to keep going, for sure. Okay, so as we said, we're getting 1700. So if we look at one steam turbine, it produces 5.8 megawatts. I guess the other thing we should briefly mention is that there's no power loss when we convert from one form of power to the next. So if these nuclear power plants are generating 1.76 gigawatts of power in the form of heat, and then we transform that power from heat into steam, there's no power lost. It's not realistic, but of course we can keep things relatively simple for our calculations, so that's just the way it is. So we can pretty much expect 1.76 gigawatts of power added to our electrical grid when all is said and done. At least if we've designed it right, that's what we should see. So how many of these we're going to need? If one steam generator is 5.8 megawatts, well, that should be a relatively simple calculation. So 1760 divided by 5.8, we need 303, well, 304 if we want to actually generate all the power available, 303 turbines. That's a lot of freaking turbines. Okay, so we'll have to keep that number in mind. And my sort of idea here is that it's going to happen we have room on the side here for these. There's going to be a number of considerations we'll have to make. So the steam turbines can be a little bit further away from the actual nuclear power plants. But the heat exchangers, which take the heat from the nuclear plants and convert them into steam, they need to be closer. So we have these things called what are these things called? The heat rods or heat pipes. So let's play with these for a bit. These heat pipes extend from your power plants like so. And the further away they go, the more heat they lose. So you can't go too far away. If I tried to make my heat exchangers up here and tried to connect them with these pipes, you'd lose a lot of that heat. All right, so we want to keep these as close as possible. So we're going to make some of these heat exchangers. And you'll see the heat exchanger. Let's just quickly look at this building. It's got pretty much 3 different connections. On the one side, it connects like this. So you have the heat pipe being pumped into the heat exchanger. That heats up the heat exchanger. You got water that flows through it, which boils the water because it's going through the heat exchanger or the heat pipe, and then it outputs steam. So there's a lot of there's 3 different types of kind of materials we have to concern ourselves with. So placement is also a bit of an issue. Okay. So the way I've kind of been envisioning this, oops, would kind of be something like this. I want it fairly close. We're going to have to put a line, things like this. All right, there we go. So now we got to grab the heat off of here. We're going to do something like this. Okay, so we also need to get a good feel of how many of these we're going to need. But this is kind of the basic design in order to try to maximize space. So we got the heat coming off like this. Something like that. Okay. And then we also have to collect the steam. So let's look at how to do that. How we're going to do this? Well, we got this pipe now in the middle. Oops, I don't want these. That's the wrong kind of pipe. I want these pipes. Thank you. So as we tile this through, like so. So that's a fairly, hopefully intuitive, relatively straightforward. Now this is going to evolve. I'm just kind of showing you guys the thinking process here that I usually go through when making a blueprint like this. So we have to get the steam out, and then this steam has to somehow get into our, whoops, our turbines. Okay. So that just gives us a little bit of a generic idea. Okay, so how many of these are we going to need? How many of these heat exchangers are we going to need? Well, we know we have, what was our number here? 1.76 gigawatts of power. Let's look at what the heat exchanger requires. It consumes heat, 10 megawatts. So each one of these consumes 10 megawatts. So that should be a fairly straightforward calculation, right? Well, I don't even need to calculate. We need 176. So we're going to need 176 of these. Now, what I'm kind of envisioning here is that we're going to have exchangers coming off on both sides of this. We could have it come off on all 4 sides, but I think that's probably overkill. So, because we may want to save this space for the turbines. So we're going to want this divided by 2, which gives us 88 on each side. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this, I think. So if we want 88, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I have 8 across here, divide by 8, I need a row of 11. Okay, I'm not going to put let's just get the numbers right, and we'll go from there. So how many we have here? That's 9, 10, 11. So, whoops. So I won't worry, let's not worry about all the connections quite yet. let's just get the numbers right and see. Placement is probably going to be the most important thing to get sorted first. Okay, so let's just do this. We could speed this up a little bit. So we go like so. So we got this now. I'm going to duplicate this like so. There. So this should be 88. Do we have 88 here? There we go. That's 88. So we're going to want to do the same thing on the other side. Like this. We're going to hopefully get that sort of centered. We'll figure that out exactly what we mean by centered, I guess. All right, so there we go. That's a design already sort of starting to manifest in our brains here. Something like that. Okay. And if we're going to say I'm thinking of 4 quadrants for the turbines. So what did we say for turbines? What did we need again? 304. So 304 divided by 4. We'll need 76 of the turbines in each quadrant. So how's that going to look? Gosh, I'm not even sure. So how many do we have here? That's 30. We need to like double this. That's 56. That's 70. Okay, now you see how these are flashing? These things require electric power. We're going to have to put some poles in here. So I already know we're going to have to like put substations in here to gather all the power. So I know we're going to need a little more than 76 for this particular calculation. So let's add one more row up top. I think this is about right. So it gives us 80. So we have 4 extra. Okay. That's not bad. So it's going to look sort of roughly like this. Get a rough idea. So that fits here, still pretty nice. You have something like this, right? This gives us a basic idea. There we go. Now we're using up a lot more space. You can see how we're using way more space than this design had. And it all fits. And we have a little extra room for power poles or some more piping if we need it, etc., etc. Okay, so can we get this? Now we got to start going through a refining process. Okay, now in order to do that refining, we need to understand one other aspect of Factorio, and that is fluid flow. Okay, that is really important because if you try to design this without understanding fluid flow, you're going to bang your head against the wall over and over again because things just won't work. And I'm going to bring up the page for this. It's called the fluid system, which is this page here, the Factorio page right here. Now, the table that you're going to care about is this guy down here. This guy is really, really important. Okay, and what it's telling us is that if we have no connection between 2 pumps, you're going to get pretty much the maximum flow out of that pump, which is 12,000 fluid per second. But you could see as soon as you have pipes between your pumps, the fluid flow drops dramatically. So it gets divided in half for just having 1 pipe, and it gets divided in half again by having 2 pipes, but then it starts to fall off. After 3, 4, and 5 pipes, we're not getting nearly as much of a fall off. It gets less and less significant. And right here, 1,000. Well, 1,000 is hopefully we don't need 1,000 pipes between pumps. So let me show you how that manifests itself in the actual game here. So if we have a pump, where is a pump? I have a pump somewhere. I believe I do. Okay, here is the offshore pump. We're going to need these. But we're going to actually need, we could, well, depends. I don't know if we're going to need a big pump or not. Where the hell is those pumps? Am I blind? It's on one of these two pages. Here they are. Okay, so here's the pump that the page was referring to. This can do 12,000 per second. So if I have them chained like this, I will actually get 12,000 per second out of that pump. However, as soon as we put one of these things in there, now the flow drops to 6,000. And if you have two, now the flow drops to 3,000. That's really important to keep in mind when you're trying to design something like this, because we have to get a lot of water flowing to these heat exchangers, which is pretty, this is going to be a heck of a lot of water. Heck of a lot of water. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. So how much water are we going to need? Well, let's do a little calculation here too. Here's where you could use this max rate calculator. So these 88 heat exchangers are going to require over 9,000 water. So 9,000 water. Let's take another calculation there. 9072 divided by 1200. One pump can supply 1200 water per second. So we'll need pretty much 8. We need 8 pumps. Now, lo and behold, this is not exactly by accident. We have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 connectors here in order to put pumps. So this is what I mean. I did a little bit of work here to kind of figure this out, that I need 8 here. We'll have 8 on each side. So we could have went a little, yeah, this is probably fine. This will work. This will work. Because we have to get the water in here somehow, right? Okay, so that's kind of that. Now these guys, oops, let's do a max rate calculator here. How about for the steam? Well, the steam is pretty much 1-to-1. So these guys need 4,800 steam. So we got to be able to transfer the steam over to here. Now 4,800 steam, if we go back to our fluid system here, if we try to transport that on one pipe, you pretty much can't have any, you can only have one pipe between pumps to get like a rate of 6,000. That's pretty much too much. I don't want to have pumps scattered all over the place. So we got to kind of design this to have, we want to have like 5, 6, or maybe even 7 pipes connecting buildings together. So we've got to pretty much assume we have pipe connections that only can hold about 1,500 or less to be safe. So in order for us to support getting us this much steam across, this 4,800 number, let's do a quick calculation there. So if we have 4,800 divided by, say, 1,500, we're going to need at least 3 pipes coming across from the heat exchangers into the turbines. That makes sense? Hopefully that can be a little confusing. It takes a while to understand the fluid system here. Will you build this over ocean? Yes. Otherwise you're going to have to find a way to get the water here, but I like putting this right over a lake, and then I pretty much put all my water pumps in this area here. That's kind of the design, the intent of the design, Angie. I'll do that down here as well. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of think it should be in the vanilla game. You should be able to add landfill, but then remove certain portions of it when you want to dig underneath to get to the lake below, which I think is reasonable and relatively realistic. Otherwise, you'll never be able to remove that landfill once it's placed. So that's why I have that one mod installed, which does change the behavior of the vanilla game, the base game. So we need to plan to have at least 4 pipes coming across into this steam turbine farm here. So once we get that working for one quadrant, it'll be pretty easy to replicate that for the other 4. So why don't let's get this started. I want to get, let's just get some, here's we're going to use some testing tools. These are only available in the sandbox mode, by the way. These won't be available in my ordinary gameplay. So these just allow us to do interesting things. We could do we could just provide, for example, uranium without actually building uranium and mining it and all that stuff. So let's go to a one of these accumulators. Where's my accumulator? This one here. An infinity accumulator. We're just going to plop it here, and this is going to be able to give us infinite power. So let's just give us output power, 500 gigawatts, whatever. That's fine for the time being. We're also going to want a provider chest. And this provider chest will provide us with just some of the fuel. Uranium fuel cell. So we're not gonna, we have a different build for this, for getting the, so let's just assume we have a build in place that generates the uranium into fuel cells, and we're just gonna bring those in via logistic bots. So I think that's a pretty good assumption. So those will be provided here onto the network like this. Let's get some power poles going so we can get power distributed. Let's get like this going. Okay, so that's on the network. Then we can also have these super